how's it going? So I was astral projecting from 2:35 p.m. I set an alarm to roughly like 6 p.m. So like, 3.5 hours, and it was really, really fun. I learned a lot, and I think the main theme of this one was how awareness, how aware you were, really played a part in all of this, in your experience and getting out. And yeah, I'll share I'll share the stories. So at first, my very first experience, I actually was such in a daze when I woke up. I haven't been sleeping very well, that I don't remember leaving my body. I actually remember coming to. I was talking to these two other beings. They actually looked fairly human. I want to say that they were humans that I met up with in the astrals, but one of them, his head was shaved on the side, and he had long brown hair. It was very wavy, and it was down to like here, and it was just like on the top, and he just had it to the side. And the other one was a taller white guy with his hair was maybe like 3/4 the length of mine. And then the guy with the long brown hair, his skin was like more coffee colored. He was more of like a light skin. And they were talking about the crown chakra. They were talking about how people should just use that as a release for negative energy. That to just shoot it out of the top of your head was one of the best techniques to relieve stress and just flow, so to say. I couldn't necessarily tell you the science behind it because I don't know, but I mean, it kind of lines up with the experience that I had when I was at the river, and I learned to do my super slow breath. In the video, the everlasting breath, that's kind of like what I did. And one of the things I ended up doing was condensing myself into like a ball and then shooting up out the top of my head. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was housing a lot of tension within my body. That would have been too stressful on my system, and to try and just breathe at the rate that I was breathing at, that would have been too demanding mentally. So I think they do have a point when it comes to shooting energy or just shooting stuff out through the top of your head. Now, I'm gonna maybe work on that. That might be something I'll just put on the back burner for now, because I just still want to keep working on astral projection in itself. But if I can maybe develop that technique and then share it with you guys, because I think I know how to go about it, but we'll see. But anyway, so I was in a doozy when I woke up and did that attempt. So I came to halfway, then I came back here, and what I did was I got on my phone for a little bit, then I laid back down and was like, okay, I want to astral project. And then what happened is I actually slipped out of my body, and I didn't realize it, and I was sitting on the foot of my bed on my phone. I was like, okay, time to astral project, let's do this. And as I grabbed my blanket and started to put it over me, like literally as I was laying back down on my head, on my bed, I was just like, oh my god, I already left my body. And I was so disappointed, because I closed my eyes and put my awareness back in my body. I was like, oh man. And then I did it one more time, but I was still more aware of it. But this time what happened was voices. I started hearing a ton of voices, and at the first time it was like screaming. It was like JC, all over my head, but it was coming more from like these areas. If I could tell where the sound was coming from, I could tell where the sound was coming from, and it was coming from these parts of my head. Not I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes you can hear the sound outside of you, but this time it was like I could pinpoint what parts of my head it was coming from. And I did astral project this time, but the voices weren't stopping. And I was like, okay, maybe I need to calm down a little bit more. Maybe I wasn't like fully through. So as I was putting my blankets back over my head and laying back down, it's funny how I'd still do that when even though I'm astral projecting, I still like to put the blankets back on me. Yeah, it was just odd. The voices really didn't go away for a little bit. Honestly, these experiences were more strong than like any substance I've done, which is really cool to know that I can have an experience like that on command. That's funny, but anyway. Yes, and the last one was the most interesting to me because it truly showed me how important your mindset was. Because the other one showed me that you need to be aware so you can have sharp, precise experiences and you don't get confused on whether you're still out or not. This one I was very, very aware, and the vibration stage was a lot stronger, way, way more noticeable than the others. In the first two I didn't even have it, the third one kind of, but this one I really did. And it was a bit uncomfortable to the point where it was kind of making me like scared. I guess I was just like irrational because I felt paralyzed, and I was like, okay, if anything comes my way, like I'm not going to be able to do anything to defend myself. And so getting out of my body was very odd. And when I looked at my legs, oh man, let me see if I can. Okay, let's see. Okay, so my legs right here, they were twisting and turning and like they were literally in positions that wouldn't have been humanly possible. And whoopsie. Oh no! Wait 1 second. Aha, much better. Yeah, my legs were basically just twisting and turning, being super weird, and I had this layer of like black over me, which was odd. It was like this just thick layer of black over me, and my vision wasn't nearly as good as the other ones. And I moved my hands out in front of me, and my hands were also having this weird sporadic movement. They were like barely being held together. It's like when you have a static screen on a TV. It's like if you were to try and form my body out of that, but it was like just kind of holding itself together. As I had my hands out in front of me, and I started drawing hearts and making a heart shape with my hands and just being like, whoa, this is weird. And it was really hard to move. Very, very, very slow movement. And I put my hands together here. Like, I don't know. Can I do it? All right, you see it? Look up. That's what I did with my astral body. And then I had it like out more over here towards my lamp, and then my physical body was like this. And it was kind of odd because I was able to feel both bodies at the same time and tell the distance between them and where each one was facing as my consciousness slowly moved back to my physical. But yeah, so with that one I learned that if you have fears, if you're just kind of scared as you're going out of your body, you're creating a ton of resistance in the experience, so it's going to make you a lot heavier, a lot more and you have a lot harder time just going with the flow, just letting your body do what it needs to do, just kind of taking the experience for what it is. And at the same time, that's kind of what happens in real life, is when you get really, really scared and tense, you don't flow as well. You become very heavy, you become very blah, and the overall experience for you is just less. That's just not as pleasant. So yeah, that's my astral projection progress. I want to say number 12. Yeah. This is cool. This is really, really cool. And I think I want to start doing this more in the mornings. Just kind of wake myself up through no alarm and just bounce. And yeah, cool. All right, you guys. Peace.